All right, I think we'll start. Well, thank you everyone for joining our webinar on transforming your dynamics business with Companial. So here today we've got an action-packed agenda for you. We're going to do a quick round of introductions. Then we're going to touch on some the transition to cloud, which Dana is going to walk us through. Then we'll have Yolanda talk to us about our AI adoption. Andy will talk to us about our learning journeys. We'll just talk a little bit more about who Companial is. We'll leave some time for Q&A, and then we'll talk about our call to actions. Welcome to the call. My name is Ray Damphus. I'm the regional lead for North America. Really working here with Companial here to bring our services to the partner community here in North America and helping you guys with your growth and with your business needs. We've got Yolanda from South Spain, so she is our regional lead there, and we'll let Yolanda introduce herself when she starts her session. George is not able to join us today, but we do have Dana from Partner Economics, who's going to talk to us about some of the economic side of the cloud. And then all the way from UK, we've got Andy DeRosa, who's going to talk to us about our learning journeys and really explain that a little bit more. But with that, I'd like to pass it over to Dana to talk to us about the transition to cloud.
Well, thanks, Ray. And just very briefly, for those who may not be familiar with partner economics, we do three things. The first is research and benchmarking. Sorry, we do research and benchmarking studies to help owners understand how their business compares with the rest of the ecosystem. We use that research to drive consulting activities to help owners improve their profitability and build the value of the business. And we're also active as M&A advisors when it comes time for owners to buy, sell, merge, or raise growth capital. So next slide, if you would, Ray. I wanted to start off, as we typically do, with just painting a bit of a backdrop of the economy that we're likely to be facing going forward. This is specific to Canada, but for those of you joining us from elsewhere, the picture is not that much different in other parts of the world, particularly North America and Western Europe. I guess the headline here is very slow economic growth. So in Canada, it's projected to be under 1% in 2024. Number of factors driving that. Inflation is still with us, proving very stubborn. Not easy to get it below the 2% target that central banks have. This is pretty much the case everywhere. As a consequence of that, borrowing costs are still high relative to what they were before the pandemic and what we're used to really over the last 20 years. In the face of that, consumer spending is relatively weak. The COVID revenge spending is now well in the rearview mirror. And businesses are being very cautious about their capital spending plans because of that overall economic outlook and really focused on reducing their operating expenses wherever possible. Lest we forget, we still live in a world with some significant geopolitical risks, really, and we're all too familiar with what they are. And so just as a summary going forward, overall, we feel that the economy we're going to be operating in is going to feel a lot like what we would call slow-burning stagflation. It's not as bad or as dramatic as it was in the 70s, but still, we're not looking into an economy which is likely to be just going forward full steam ahead and growing rapidly. And next slide, Ray, please. Wait for that. No, hang on. That wasn't the next slide. Populate here momentarily, I'm hoping.
I'm hoping to. If not, I can stop presenting and bring it back in a different way, potentially.
Yeah, it would be easier. I wanted to just go through some data that's specific to the Canadian partner ecosystem.
Stop presenting here and let me try a different way of presenting. Not sharing. Sorry about this, people. So, Mm.
There we are.
There we go.
Great. Um, because the name of the company is Partner Economics, I thought it'd be useful to share with you some economic data specific to the Canadian ecosystem. Just give you a picture of how it compares with the global ecosystem that we track. We've gathered these benchmarking statistics now for going on 20 years. And a couple of highlights there in yellow that I think are interesting from the Canadian perspective. The first being that if you think about the sort of median Canadian partner, it tends to be smaller than what we see in terms of the global median, global being predominantly North America and Europe. The percent of revenue that is SaaS based in the Canadian partner ecosystem is a little bit higher. That's good news. It means we're slightly more along the cloud curve than is the case, more globally. But we're monetizing far less in the way of our own IP than we see across the broader ecosystem. So, across the broader ecosystem, the median level of own IP as a percentage of revenue is just over 2%. Here, it's less than a quarter of that in Canada. And, from a core profitability as measured by EBITDA, a little bit lower than the global median. And really one of the key drivers there is, and one of our key challenges in the Canadian market is that of utilization. So if you think in terms of the median number of billable hours that we get out of our billable resources in Canada, that stands at 805 as compared to 910 across the broader ecosystem. So generally, as a Canadian partner ecosystem, we're smaller, we're a little bit more cloud forward than the broader ecosystem, and a little bit less profitable and not as able to be as highly utilized as other partners elsewhere seem to be able to manage. And I wanted to, sorry, next slide, Ray.
67 hours.
There we are. Now, one of the core questions here at the top was, what is the difference, or why is it important to have a more cloud-oriented business model? I said a moment ago that the Canadian partner ecosystem is a little bit more cloud-centric in terms of the portion of the revenue that is SaaS-based, but still not nearly as far along as, let's call it, the more advanced cloud partner is. And I want to just share with you some key differences between the cloud-focused business model and a more legacy-focused business model. And these are actually two partners. Won't obviously give any names, but they're of a similar size. And it's important, I think, to understand just what the differences are in terms of, their revenue composition. You look at the partner on the left, the cloud partner, you can see they're way, way, way more heavily weighted in monetizing SaaS subscriptions and hosting. That's over 45% of their total revenue mix. It's significantly lower if you think about the legacy model. The other key difference is in terms of project services. You can see in the legacy partner, there's still over half of their revenue pie comprised of project services. And in the case of a more cloud-oriented partner, they still monetize project services, but they've moved a lot into support. And that's really in replacement of continued monetization of the perpetual software and maintenance that the legacy partner is still far more oriented towards, right? So that just gives you an overall picture of the differences between, let's call it a more advanced cloud partner and a legacy partner. And really the bottom line here, as you can see at the bottom, is that, the legacy partner really struggles to get even up to the median level of profitability. So this particular business model has an EBITDA just under 7%, whereas the cloud business model is more than double that. The other important thing here is that if you look in terms of recurring revenue, the cloud partner has far more recurring revenue. It's over 2/3 of their revenue is recurring, whereas less than 20% is recurring in the case of the legacy partner. And here's really the bottom line, right? These are similar partners in terms of size, but pound for pound, the cloud partner in today's market is going to be worth 4 or 5 times more, literally 4 or 5 times more conservatively than the legacy partner. So that's the reason that the cloud is so important to adopt. The business is far more profitable and worth far more. And I wanted to also I know we're going to have a more fulsome discussion about AI in a moment, but if you want to advance to the next slide, Ray, just sort of maybe share with you at least our perspective on AI. And really, we've seen several technology shifts. If we think back in time, at one point it was mainframe to client server. Probably the last 15 years or so, certainly the last 10 years in particular, have been really the move towards cloud computing. And now we're really entering into the next shift, which is towards AI. And if you think about, sorry, next slide, Ray, please. If you think about it at a high level, what that could mean, and just sort of, based on the direction Microsoft seems to be heading in, you can imagine a world of, let's call it autonomous ERP, arriving and being part of our future far sooner than we might think, fairly early, fairly soon future, really. And that world would have things like AI-driven implementations. So where AI is driving a lot of the implementation and deployment of ERP systems, obviously stripping out a lot of the labor effort and the cost, as well as speeding up the implementations, significantly. That's obviously good news for Business Central adoption. A world in which end users would interact with systems in natural language, whether that's voice or text. A world in which supply chains might heal themselves, for instance, so that if a container falls off a ship in the middle of the Atlantic somewhere, the goods that are now at the bottom of the ocean but supposed to arrive at their destination do, because the supply chain heals itself. And lastly, a world in which the books are always current, so you don't have to wait weeks after the end of a month to figure out where you are. These are just the kind of things in general that AI might arrive at us, that might take us to being seeing as a reality in the not too distant future. And next slide, Ray. If you think about what that might mean in terms of its impact to the partner, we can see really four main impacts. The first is that as the use of AI agents becomes more and more widespread, and as AI agents are doing more of the work, frankly, there'll be less need for core software licenses, because fewer users will interact with the core software. So less users means less licenses. And hopefully, this drop in licenses can be offset by partners monetizing their own agents that they build, or services that they wrap around Copilot in particular. But it's pretty clear to us that however you slice it, there will be a significant impact on partner services, let's call it current partner services, as customers use these AI agents more and more, and as more and more of the ERP functionality becomes autonomous, sort of the ERP, working on its own without the need for human interaction or intervention. And finally, it seems pretty clear to us, at least, that this impact will be especially acutely felt if we think about support delivery. And next slide, Ray. Just to sort of paint a picture of how important it is to adapt the business model to the AI reality and what would happen if you don't. If you think about a world, for example, where project services decreases by 30% and support by 60%, in this sort of hypothetical example, the math is pretty straightforward. Revenue shrinks significantly, in this case from, let's say 9 million to just under 7. And a positive EBITDA turns into a highly negative one. So it really is important that, as we think about AI, we really get on board that train and begin to incorporate AI into our businesses and adapt to the AI world that we will soon be and already are dealing with. And with that, I think I'll hand it back to Ray for the next speaker sections. You're muted, Ray.
Thank you, Dana. Very informative. Thank you very much for that. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Yolanda, who's going to talk to us about channel maturity in the AI adoption.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for the European people. Thanks so much for sharing with us this time. I sincerely hope it will be of interest to you, right? So It's clear that the moment that our industry is going through is extraordinary, right? And this is because of the challenges we are facing, and this is because also the uncertainty of the way forward. And of course, this is because it's a very exciting and amazing moment, right? Also, it's clear that we had to face the path of adopting AI because we are having a lot of noise every day. We are getting a lot of things related to AI, and the question that we have to ask ourselves is, how do we do it, right? So interesting. Let me then to go through the first look at where we are in Cadana, right? So in terms of AI adoptions, right? Matters. This is a recent study revealed a shift from curiosity about AI to a kind of tangible action among the SMBs in Canada, right? So the study was conducted by Edelman in Mexico and also Microsoft in January this year, and they asked the Canadian small businesses from 200, I guess that it was 250 employees, right? About the top challenges and opportunities related to the AA, right? It's interesting because for those small businesses that already acquired, right, or was touching these technologies, between the 66% and the 76% of those companies consider the impact of AI on the company's productivity to be positive. So they are considering the usage of AI improving businesses' work quality, customer satisfaction, and employee engagement. It's interesting. In particular, the report shows that the companies declare an increase of roughly the 30% of their productivity. But also they are considering that they can face some challenges because they can see some barriers to full adoption remain. So they are concerned about their ability to retain a strong cybersecurity posture through their digital transformation, and also they are talking about the lack of skills, right? The lack of the needs of training, the need of readiness. So these findings point to seems that we need to go further education and better support to help small businesses in navigating through this transformation, right? This is what the studies, the report is telling us. So, Raymond, can you go to the next one, please? So, no doubt the potential of AI is clear, the market opportunity is clear. So, the point is where we are, right? So, next, please. So, when I how to say this, a new challenge? Is AI is a kind of new challenge? I don't think so. It's not so much because listening to you, it's as a part of my daily activities. It seems to be hearing the same old problems, right? The problems and the challenge to understand AI adoption is to understand that AI is not the what, but the how, right? So the challenge that you face and we face in our businesses are those related to the lack of resources and the consequences that it has for you, right? Limited resources, lack of trainings, also considering even higher and demanding technology requirements, excessive cost in a very, very expensive organization, lack of capacities, etc., etc., etc. So I guess that it's very, very familiar to you. Number two, long sales cycles, which means money, more time, more money. so long and expensive sales processes, but also it affects to the complexity of the project, the typical deviations, how to balance the customer expectations versus yours, etc., etc., etc. Right? Of course, competition as usual, but the profile of competitors are becoming different. Let me just put an example. In Spain, for instance, one of the biggest Microsoft partner regarding the business applications ecosystem is the first telco in Spain, Telefónica. So I mean, it's a bit different if we back just 8 years ago, right? So I mean, 8 years back. So everything is very different. Licensing models, subscription models, changing margins. It seems that the industry is changed a bit. Let's say the conditions of the game, right? The rules of game. But now, in addition to this, and also as Anna said, the profits and the EBITDA of companies seems to go down a bit, etc., etc. But at the same say that in addition to this, we are also supposed to swim in the water of a revolution, because the AI revolution, where everything is different, business models, relationship models, software development models, etc., etc. So the first thing that we need is to know where I am, right?
Sors de mon bureau, s'il te plaît. Sors de mon bureau.
Raymond,
Si tu veux faire le singe et le fou, sors de mon bureau.
next, please. Next slide. Thank you. So the first thing that I need is to know where I am. So where am I? Well, depending on where you are or where we are, we will have to go in one way or the other one, right? So this is not different for what we have been doing, all of us, a long time, right? Since the beginning of the time. So the first is where I am. The second thing is where do I want to get to? The third thing is what do I want to propose to my market, my customers, etc., etc. What resources do I have? Regarding economics, regarding resources capacity, skills, knowledge, etc., etc. Who are my alliance, etc., etc. So maybe you can recognize in that. I mean, this is a very, very simple, right, framework, but maybe you are recognizing yourself in one of those steps, right? You can consider yourself as a novice regarding the topics related to the AI, not enough awareness. AI is not integrating in your company at all. In your mind, it's just off of your daily activities, or maybe you are handling some topics related to AI in a reactive approach, right? Just waiting for something. Is that we are just in the typical position is that let's wait and see first before doing anything. Most of you consider that you are more or less ready for AI because you have doing different things. Maybe you are piloting something, or you are touching copilots and so on together with your customers, or maybe as a part of an internal project, etc., etc. Once you have a kind of understanding of how should be done some kind of use cases, right? Scenarios to be used AI, you feel strong. Right, you become stronger, and then you start in explain the world, explain your market, explain out there that you are proficient on AI, right? And finally, it's not the last step because it's not sequential, but it's a kind of it's like an infinitum model. You feel even more comfortable. So I mean, it's not difficult to know where you are. It's a matter to digest, to assess yourself, which can be the key aspects in order to becoming a player with enough understanding of AI, enough capacity to deliver what your customers are expecting from you. Raymond, we go to the next. I mentioned before alliance, right? And let me just to share with you my thoughts. It's about Companion. So it's a matter that to say we like to feel alliance related to our partners, and how can we help you in this way. Today, and let me just talk about June 19. Today, we have three big levels, right, to help our partners to move forward. Number one is about the skilling. Number one is, and later, and you will explain much better than me that part. So it's about how to support you in getting enough skills in order to better understand how far Copilot goes, what is the key things, the key success factor for implementing AI, etc., right? So skilling first. Secondly, there's one. I am getting those trainers and coaching from Companion. We can also to help you in thinking how to develop something, right, with a AI foundation. And finally, is last but not least, it's a prerequisite, which is so important about your customers. Your customer must live in cloud, because if not, AI, it doesn't exist. So it's not feasible. That's not feasible. So this let's say this way to be crossed, which is to transition from the former legacies, etc., to cloud, is a must for you and also for your customers. So Raymond, next one. So for language units, two things today. We have two people, strong ones, which is Stine. Static is not only the software architect, but also MVP, Companion MVP. We also are having Dimitri Katson in delivering, launching courses for developers, explaining and training them on how to develop generative AI for extensions with copilots and etc. That we are just working strongly in putting more and more content related to AI. So this is about the first corner, which is skilling. So Raymond, corner one is once you know that, or you decide to move ahead, to move forward, then we can support you in let's say in helping you in better understand how should be the path to be followed, right? So the typical envisioning and scoping discussion first, validation and development in terms of how should you to develop the things, and finally, and is not last but not least, is the EA model management, because AI is a lot of things, and we have to simplify, to digest what should be the right guidance for supporting not just today but tomorrow all your effort in adopting AI. And finally, next. In case to be needed, we also have a strong, let's say, portfolio of services in order to help you to enable you to be more efficient in migrating customers to Business Central. We can provide you coaching, marketing, trainings, technical tools, etc., right? So once you have decided to move your full install base to SaaS, we can also support you. We can also to help you. And last but not least, as the previous said, don't be the last gazelle in the herd, because the winner is not the first one. The winner is not to be the last one. Thanks so much, Raymond.
Thank you very much, Yolanda. Appreciate that so much. And with that, I'd like to bring Andy DeRosa to the forefront and talk to us about our learning journeys.
Absolutely. And good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, wherever you're located. So I'm just going to be sort of kind of brief, going through the slides and explaining what are learning journeys, what is it that we're talking about here, how do they work, what's the thinking behind it, what's the approach. So the learning journey is detaching yourself from the old way of thinking about readiness. So readiness used to be, there is this new, I'm just going to go and learn about that. Or when someone needed to skill up on something that they were not quite sure about, they go looking on the websites, go and find a training company and just go, okay, I buy that course. Okay. Readiness now, particularly in the world that we live in the cloud first world, it means that you got to go with the flow. Before you could learn a skill, and for 3, 4, 5 years, that's it. You were in business. Now things move so quickly and so often that you can't just dwell on learned skills that you did many years ago. So the learning journey is the chance to actually put together a carefully designed collection of self-study programs and tutored sessions to supplement that learning. The approach is simple. They are constructed with two flavors. You typically start with a zero to hero approach. So zero means you could be your new hire from college, from university, or someone maybe you bring in from a customer who's been working in ERP and is going to become one of your consultants. Or it could be some guy who knows about .NET very well and you want to turn that person into your developer for Business Central, for customer engagement, for Power Platform. So that's what the approach is here, is to actually guide people from like a menu, let's say, direction, where you start with the lowest point of knowledge and you bring them all the way down to solution architect level. Of course, training is only good if it's supplemented by the knowledge. And what we do by that is we bring in, expert sessions with our MVPs, with MCTs, with experts on different topics. Yolanda touched on AI, and absolutely, she displayed a couple of the guys that have done some sessions, but we got more coming. And of course, learning is not by being alone. You learn better when you're part of a community. So we build and foster this community spirit amongst our students, so they can also progress together and they can see each other flourish and achieve their aims. Tutor support is very important, and tutor support is both on the self-study, where there is remote assistance from our trainers, but most importantly, tutor support during the sessions. And the sessions, when I say sessions, it could be a 1-day training, 2-day training, 3-day training, as it can be, the 1-hour session where you can get the Q&A and ask questions on the topics that were covered. Of course, we have an ethos that we want to serve long term, which means that we give our students access to every single one of the recordings. It doesn't matter again if it's 1-hour session, it could be 5 days PL to 100. The students can revisit, and sometimes it's very difficult to just be at your desk all day, and you get easily distracted. If you got a way of going back and you got access to the videos, you can just find your way back to where you didn't understand the topic and revisit it and better your knowledge. So having said that, if we could move on to the next one, please, Ray. Thank you. So I have just put a screenshot. There is no time to actually going in and showing it, so I wanted to just let you know what it looks like. So when a student logs in, they will see effectively two things, and we will see them on the next slides. But this is the menu where you will see what sessions are there, and you can easily recognize them because they have a date and a time. Okay. And this is the very beginning of the journey, but as you move down, you will see that the complexity increases. When you see the blue stuff, it means that these are the booster programs that our arm of the business, the Platan business, is being awarded for. So these are real life based case studies. Let's build a solution from scratch for a customer. It's not just the Microsoft Learn theory or theoretical approach to that. There is much more to that. There is a lot of assignments. There is participations in Q&A sessions. And also you need to tackle particular scenarios that you got to bring to life for, let's say, a fictitious yet real customer. Can we move to the next one, please? All right. So, and there is, of course, a management control room. That's what I called it. The manager that is there to deploy the seats to the students at your end as a subscriber. You will have visibility by, you see the little graph there, icon, and you could always click on that and see where your student is at. You can add people, you can remove people, you can move them in between different learning journeys. We often see that people are hired, for instance, as a developer. Then, a few weeks down the line, the employer realizes they're not right for a developer role and they're more suited for a consultant. You can switch them over. Or you can, add people through the subscription as you go along. And as new learning journeys become available, you will see them in the pull down menu. So, if someone all of a sudden needs to do Power Platform, then you could deploy that seat over to that student with a new learning journey. Okay, so there is also progress reports. You can download the progress report to Excel, then you can do pivot tables, whatever you want to do with the data. It's there for you to see the progress of your students. Next one, please, Ray. So I briefly mentioned about the booster programs. The booster programs are very visible in the blue color in the interface. Students go in. Students can start a booster. They can come back to the booster always through the same participant portal. And it's very important because it has a progress indicator. They see where they are in percentage-wise, but every time they relaunch it, they will go back to the last item that they've been studying on, okay? And next slide, please. Of course, anything in orange is webinar related or, instructor-led sessions with our instructors and also with our specialist people. And as we will see on the following slides, we have a distinction between, let's say, traditional days with trainers and also specific sessions. So students can not just look at the interface, but they can also be directed from every single webinar to a fully described listing on the website. So before they go and register on something, they can actually see what it is that they're going to be learning. And so if there are prerequisites, they can also see there, and they walk their way back through the list and attend, what they need to attend before they go to the next level. Okay. So next one, please. We also have the Ask the Expert monthly sessions. This is like your drop-in clinic for students to ask questions to our instructors. It's very interesting because you can also submit questions up front. So if you're studying on a booster and you have some questions, you can tell an instructor, could you cover this on the next session? So he or she will come prepared with a scenario to talk to you about. All right. And when I say short webinars, they typically are 1 hour. Sometimes students are very keen to say, let's stay a bit longer because we have more questions, and that's fine. But they typically don't take more than 2 hours. Okay. Next one, please. And that's my last slide. We talked about having our MVPs, and these are some of the people that we are using at the moment. Some are our colleagues, some are part of our ecosystem. And we are carefully adding bits around the AI, Copilot, and also topics specific to Business Central, customer engagement, Power Platform. And, so it's very visible to the students when they go in, when there's new sessions, they're clearly labeled with a new little icon next to it. So they always know that there's something has been added. And they're not one-off sessions. Unless, we feel that something has changed and we don't need to offer it again. We offer several dates throughout, the subscription. So if you miss one, okay, you could actually register and you can go back and look at the recording. If you're on vacation, likewise. But if you miss one and you need the knowledge as soon as possible, then you can see what other dates are available. So that's pretty much the summary for me, Ray, and you can have the stage back.
Cool. Thank you, Andy. Very quickly, I'm just going to end the slideshow here just so I can bring it back into present in Teams so I can see my notes. And let me get quickly into the right slide here. All right, so just keeping an eye on time, we are pretty good. We've got a few minutes about Companial. We do have some time for some Q&A. If there are some questions and you want to pop them in the chat, please feel free to do so. And then we'll close up with our call to action. But one of the things from Companial perspective is partners are at the center of our universe. And when I say partners, I do really mean Dynamics partners, because that is who we work with and that is where our expertise is. And if you like to look at it this way, is Dynamics partners is the vertical that we focus on. Partners come in different shapes and sizes, right? So at the end of the day, we know that there are partners that have been around for a long time, partners that have an established practice, they have, deep knowledge, they're very horizontal, they're happy with where they are, they're a very successful organization and they don't want to make too many changes, they don't want to impact, they don't want to make big changes that impacts their business. That's okay. There's also partners that recognize that they want to be different than what they are today. So maybe they have one practice, they want to expand, bring another offering. Maybe they want to focus on Business Central. Maybe they want to dive deeper into cloud, but they know that they want to continue to evolve and bring in some new offerings and different go-to-market strategies for their organization and their customer base. And there's also new partners. So partners that are just getting started, they want to build a go-to-market strategy. They're wanting to really set and establish themselves in an industry. And those are new partners that are up and coming, and they want to build that business. So our job is to work with every single one of these partners and help them along their journey, regardless of where they are. One of good famous sayings from William Pollard is, to change is difficult, but not to change is fatal. So really, at the end of the day, we know that as a partner, things can be very difficult sometimes, right? So there's a lot of asks. We know that partners need to do a lot of things in this ever-changing ecosystem. We're hearing that partners need to build a team to create these repeatable packages, these package solutions, make it repeatable, bring this repetitiveness to quick to market. Partners need to invest in a new marketing or go vertical, find an industry focus to get into. What if you've got IP? And because it's now cloud enabled, you need to make it fit on app source. You've got to convert all of your development into extensions. There's a lot of things that need to get done there. There's Office 365 that you need to learn, the security, the modern work. And there's Dynamics 365 for sales and customer service that's also out there that partners need to learn. And if you don't know some of these things, we're encouraging partners to build partnerships with other organizations to help in those deployments. And then there's Power Platform, right? So partners need to learn Power Platform because that's the next big thing. Oh, and don't forget you've got that on-prem base that you need to move to SaaS. So there's another thing that needs to get done. Oh, and then there's all these Microsoft licenses and incentives that you need to take advantage of to make sure that you're getting the most out of your partnership with Microsoft and making sure you bring in the margins that you are hoping to bring in. Oh, and we talked about AI and Copilot. So there's all of these things that partners need to do, and it's a big thing. And that drives a couple different reactions. Some are really scared about it, and some are all open arms, but probably a combination of both. But at the end of the day, we know that the train has left the building. Cloud is here to stay. AI is here to stay. There's no going back. But what do partners do? They need to stay calm, carry on, and because it's about an evolution, right? It's about the change. It's about progression and moving as technology is changing with them. So at the end of the day, partners have choices. At the end of the day, it's your choice as far as what you want to do. We do see in working with hundreds of partners globally. Just broadly, these are some of their options, right? You can choose to do nothing. You can choose to, bury your head in the sand and not want to evolve as technology around us is evolving. That's an option. You can build some capacity. So you've got a team, you want to, expand, you want to grow that capability, you want to be able to cross-sell to your existing customer base because you're satisfied with that. Great, that's another approach. We talked about the repeatable packages. So, we see a lot of partners that have these quick deployments, rapid deployments. Well, I also want to challenge that the repeatable doesn't necessarily mean small, doesn't need to mean to be very quick. It just means repeatable. One of the things on that is where we've seen partners be more successful as their organization is to treat that as a separate P&L. So don't kind of lump it into the rest of the organization, but treat it separately. Another option is partnering. So you can stay with the expertise that you have. Maybe you're a Business Central expert today and you want to focus on that, but your customer demand is asking you to provide more services. So instead of building it internally, do you find a partner that complements your services and bring that to the table for your partners? We've seen that as an option. One of the things we do recommend, though, there is to be very strategic with those partnerships and not partner with too many people and making sure that they are the right fit. And then taking it to the next level, really building that expertise. I know there's a few partners on here that do have that deep niche knowledge and really expertise around a specific industry. And really you can continue to focus on that path. But really, again, depending on where you are in that journey, you've got choices to make as far as which way you want to continue to go. So how does Companial help partners? We touched a little bit earlier. Yolanda touched in on how does Companial help partners when it comes to AI. Andy did a great job on how Companial help partners with their learning journey. But for us, we bring it down to the 4 pillars of our success, which is community, competency, capability, and capacity. And just to kind of dive deeper into some of these. So from a community perspective, we're all social beings, right? Nobody wants to reinvent the wheel. How we don't reinvent the wheel is by sharing these experiences, by listening to others and making sure that, we're open to new opportunities. But we also know that sharing means a trusted environment. If you don't have that trusted environment, you won't be open to creating those and communicating those. So that is one of the things that as we work with 1,000 partners worldwide, is we want to create that safe space and create this partner-to-partner cooperation and making sure that it is a safe community to work with. We don't want to be the largest, we want to be the preferred. From a competency perspective, Companial's been around for a number of years, but it's about our people. We have over 2,000 years of experience and expertise specifically in the dynamics world. Again, that is what we focus on, is dynamics, and these are our team members are people that have run a business, that have owned a business, that have worked for Microsoft. A lot of experience and comes into our knowledge. From a capacity, at the end of the day, we know that predominant theme in the dynamics ecosystem is there's not enough talent to deliver what is needed to be delivered, and that's really a piece that we want to focus on. We don't want to be customer facing. At the end of the day, that's your relationship with the customer. We don't want to compromise that in any way, shape, or form. So we look at ways of being your outsourced operations, but from a back end perspective. So if we look at the learning journeys, that's a great way of educating your resources. From our upgrades and migrations, Yolanda talked about our migration and modernization program. It's a great way of us doing the technical work for the customers to move from ground to cloud, but allowing you as the partner to build that connection with the customer and continue to deliver the extended services against their new deployment. And then from a capability perspective, our tools are being used by thousands of partners, and it really is a way to drive your profitability and your customer success. And those are things that we want to continue to invest in for all of our partners to take advantage of. Everything from some of our AIM modernization programs to our marketplace for ISVs, and some of the solutions that we've built specifically for our partners to resell to their customers. So really trying to enhance some of that go-to-market strategy for you and your customers. We're a very different model than your typical distributor. So if we look at, and what we have a membership, and what part of our membership includes is our partner support, is news and events, which is really the webinars, the Companial Connects that we host on a regular basis across the different regions. And if you want to attend a Companial Connect in Spain and go visit Yolanda, by all means, we'll certainly make those introductions and let you know when that is. So if you do want to go visit, by all means. And then our ordering and supplying tooling. So those are all things that we provide to every single one of our members. But what we also give back in return with some of the membership fees, think of it as your air miles, if you like. You're buying, but you're getting stuff back. We're giving you back some of those funds to help your business. Again, we know that partners come in different shapes and sizes. You may need some of these different things at different times within your journey. So maybe today you want a lead, maybe tomorrow you need some learning journeys, maybe the day after you need some help with some upgrades. Those are things that you can use your service funds towards. These are Canadian pricing, so I know we've got partners from not just Canada but Europe and US. These are Canadian pricing from a membership perspective. Just a quick snapshot. Again, this is recorded, but these are different. These are the different programs that we have. This is Companial. In a nutshell, we are an official SMB ERP distributor. We work with 1,000 partners today globally, 75 different countries. We have 22,000 plus years of Dynamics experience, and our focus is all on Dynamics and partners. So really, in a nutshell, this is who we are. We're an ISV development center, an AIM modernization center, and we've also been Inner Circle for the last 9 years. So that is who we are. With that, I'd like to open it up for Q&A. You should be able to unmute yourself if you have any questions. I'll also monitor the chat if there's anything that comes up there. All right, then let's go to our call to action. So, call to action here would be, 3 different things. One is, set up a one-on-one call. Love to understand a little bit more about your company, your organization, your challenges. what are some of the offerings and how can Companion help? I think that's a great way for us to understand. Joanne has a question. Are all the booster, Andy, I'll let you answer that question in the chat, just around the boosters. And maybe to reiterate, all the booster programs are all the booster programs in the Academy?
Well, they are within the Learning Journeys portal. Okay, let's not confuse the two. The Companion Academy is a line of business. Okay, that's what it is.
So the Learning Journeys includes all of the boosters, is what I'm getting from your answer, Andy. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Perfect. Cool. So coordinate a one-on-one call. We do have a promotion for the people that join this webinar, whether it be the actual or it be the recording, because we will make this recording available for partners to watch. And if you coordinate a one-on-one call, there's a Learning Journey promotion that we will share with you after that is done. And then also there is an in-person event that we are hosting in September of this year, September 17th at the Microsoft office in Toronto. For partners that can make it, I'd love to see you all there. I promise there will be some amazing content and some great speakers, and look forward to seeing everybody there. So with that, we have 3 minutes. I want to thank everyone for joining the call. Thank you for participating. Thank you for attending. If there's ever any questions, again, please do not hesitate to reach out. You've got my email from the invites. There's also some information here, some emails and some websites. Please do not hesitate to reach out. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. And thanks, you to Yolanda and Andy for staying late. I know it's a little bit later there in Europe, so really appreciate you helping me out in here in North America.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks, Raymond.
Thanks everyone. Thank you, Dana. Thanks.
Thanks,
I appreciate your time. Thanks all. Bye-bye.